Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got something special. We're diving into one of the most legendary horror stories ever, the first Halloween movie from 1978. Picture this like we're sitting around a campfire in the dark, and I'm telling you something that'll make the hairs on your arms stand up. This isn't just a movie, it's the start of something dark, something that still gives people nightmares to this day. So, get comfy, turn off the lights if you dare, and let's head to Haddonfield, a small town in Illinois where it all began. Ready? Here we go. Imagine the date, October 31st, 1963, Halloween night. The streets of Haddonfield are buzzing with kids running around in costumes. Little witches, ghosts, pumpkin heads, all laughing and screaming as they go door to door for candy. Ever been a kid on Halloween? That feeling in the air, a mix of excitement and some weird unease as the wind rustles through the dry leaves? That's exactly where this story starts. But we won't stay in that happy part for long. We're looking at one house, an ordinary one, with a porch where a carved pumpkin sits, its eyes glowing from the candle inside. Inside is Judith Myers, a teenager, maybe 17, pretty, with long hair and a carefree smile. She's with her boyfriend, some kid from school, and they're laughing, cuddling on the couch while the lights in the house cast warm shadows on the walls. Everything seems normal, right? But then we hear something. Quiet footsteps outside. Someone's watching through the window. We don't see who it is, just hear this shallow, almost silent breathing. Judith and her boyfriend don't notice. He says he's got to head home, gives her a kiss, and walks out the front door. The house goes quiet. Judith's alone. Or at least she thinks she is. Now picture this. The camera takes us through the eyes of this mysterious watcher. We're walking around the house, quiet, slow, like we don't want anyone to hear us. We slip in through the back door into the kitchen. There's a table with a few dinner plates, a sink full of dishes, and on the counter, a big kitchen knife. A hand, a small hand, picks up that knife. You hear the metal clink softly as it's lifted. We head up the stairs, every step creaking underfoot, and your heart's pounding because you know something's wrong. We reach Judith's room. She's sitting in front of her mirror, brushing her hair, humming a little tune, completely unaware. And then, bam! This watcher, this someone, stabs her. The knife comes down, once, twice, 3 times, fast, brutal. Judith screams, tries to fight back, but blood sprays across the floor, over her hands, onto the white shirt she's wearing. Her screams fade, and she collapses, dead, as the room fills with silence. The camera pulls back. We go downstairs out onto the porch, and only then do we see who did it. Standing there, on the driveway, under a streetlight, a little boy, 6 years old, in a clown costume with red pom-poms and a colorful mask. In his hand, he's holding the knife, blood dripping from the blade onto the concrete. This is Michael Myers, Judith's younger brother. His parents pull up, their car's headlights lighting up this chilling scene. His mom screams, his dad stands frozen, and Michael, he just stands there, still, silent, no emotion. Like he's not even a kid, but something else. The wind blows, leaves rustle, and that's where the opening ends. That night, in Haddonfield, evil was born. Now, let's jump 15 years ahead. It's October 30th, 1978. Michael spent all these years locked up in Smith's Grove, a psychiatric institution. He hasn't said a word, just stared at the walls, quiet, empty. Dr. Samuel Loomis, his psychiatrist, has been trying to reach him, but he says, this boy isn't human. There's nothing human in him. His eyes are like black holes, no soul. Loomis is obsessed with Michael, and that night he's driving with a nurse named Marion to transfer him to another facility. Rain's pouring down like crazy, lightning's cutting through the sky, and the car bounces along the muddy road. When they get to Smith's Grove, something's off. The gates open. Patients in white gowns are wandering the yard, half naked, soaked, like ghosts in the fog. Marion says, "What's going on here?" Before Loomis can answer, there's a crash. Michael smashes the car window, grabs Marion by the throat, she screams, but he's stronger. Loomis chases after him with a gun, but Michael's already in the driver's seat and takes off into the night. Loomis stands in the rain, watching the taillights fade, and mutters, "He's going home. Tomorrow's Halloween." Next morning, October 31st, we meet Laurie Strode. She's a 17-year-old, quiet, smart, the kind of girl who'd rather read books than party. As she walks to school, carrying her books, autumn leaves fall around her. Haddonfield looks peaceful. Houses with white picket fences, kids playing on lawns. But Laurie feels something weird, like someone's watching her. She glances over her shoulder and sees him, a tall figure in a dark jumpsuit standing behind a hedge across the street. She can't see his face, just his shape, but her heart beats faster. Nah, it's just my imagination, she thinks and keeps going. At school, during class, she looks out the window. He's there again, across the street, standing under a tree, motionless. She tells her friend Annie, "I think someone's following me." Annie laughs. "Laurie, you're overreacting. Chill out." That afternoon, Laurie agrees to babysit some kids, Tommy and Lindsay, while her friends Annie and Linda plan to hang out with their boyfriends. Annie's carefree, always joking, wearing a tight sweater and chewing gum while she talks about her boyfriend. Linda's a little wild, with blonde hair and a cigarette in hand, dreaming about getting drunk and having fun. The streets of Haddonfield come alive, kids in costumes running around, doorbells ringing, pumpkins glowing on every corner. But as the sun sets, something shifts. Michael's out there, now wearing a mask. A white, expressionless mask he stole from a store. The eyes are just two black holes, the face dead, like it's made of wax. He moves quietly, like a shadow, with a big knife in his hand. First, he comes for Annie. She's off to pick up her boyfriend, humming as she walks to the car parked in the garage. She gets in, but the windows are fogged up. She giggles. "Hey, who's been in here?" Before she realizes it, the door flies open and Michael grabs her by the throat. She fights, her nails scratching at his hands, but he squeezes tighter, and then, slash, the knife cuts her throat. Blood sprays across the steering wheel over her hands as she thrashes and lets out a weak groan before slumping over. Michael watches her for a few seconds, then leaves her there, like a doll tossed aside. Now it's Linda and her boyfriend Bob's turn. They show up at the house across from Laurie's, laughing, making out on the couch while the radio plays some old song. Bob says, "I'm grabbing a beer," and heads to the basement. It's dark down there, just one bulb hanging from the ceiling, flickering. He hears something, a dull, quiet sound like someone tapping the wall. "Linda, is that you?" he calls, but no answer. He opens the closet door. Nothing. Turns around and suddenly Michael's right behind him. The knife rises and in one swift move it stabs through Bob's chest, pinning him to the wall so hard he's stuck there. Bob hangs, blood dripping down his legs while Michael tilts his head like he's studying what he's done. Linda's upstairs, bored. "Bob, hurry up already," she yells. She hears footsteps on the stairs, sees a figure in the dark, and thinks it's him. "Why'd you put that sheet over yourself, you goof?" she says, laughing. But it's not Bob. Michael steps closer, silent, and before she knows it, he grabs the phone cord and wraps it around her neck. Linda chokes, her arms flailing, trying to scream, but all that comes out is a muffled gasp. She falls onto the bed, dead, her eyes still wide open. Laurie, across the street, senses something's wrong. "The kids are jumpy," Tommy keeps saying. "The boogeyman's here." She calms him down, but her heart's racing. She decides to check it out. Crossing the street, the wind's blowing, streetlights flickering. She steps into the house. It's dead quiet, like everything's frozen. The lights don't work, and the floor creaks under her feet. She finds Bob in the basement, still pinned to the wall, a pool of blood on the floor. She screams, but then she sees Linda on the bed, dead, the cord around her neck. Tears well up, her legs shake, and then she hears breathing behind her. She turns, and there's Michael, tall, silent, his mask white in the moonlight. He raises the knife, but Laurie's quick. She grabs a knitting needle off the table and stabs him in the shoulder. He grunts, falls back, and she runs. She bolts back to the kids, locks the door, but Michael's coming. He pounds on the wood with his fists, glass shatters, the kids scream in the corner. Laurie grabs a knife from the kitchen, hides in a closet, panting, soaked in sweat. The closet doors creak open slowly, and Michael's there. She screams and stabs him in the neck. He collapses. She thinks it's over, steps out, checks on the kids with trembling hands, but then she hears a creak, turns around, and Michael's body is gone. Her heart stops. Right then, Doctor. Loomis arrives. He'd heard the commotion, knew Michael was close. He bursts into the house, sees Michael standing behind Laurie, ready to grab her. He shoots. Once, twice, 6 times. Michael staggers, falls off the balcony onto the grass below. Laurie's sobbing, asks, "Was that a man under the mask?" Loomis doesn't answer. He looks down. Michael's gone. No body, just crushed grass. In the distance, you hear that heavy breathing, blending with the wind. Evil isn't dead. Evil never dies. And that's it, folks. Haddonfield was never the same after that night. What do you think? Is Michael still out there somewhere waiting for the next Halloween? Let me know in the comments, and if you like this retelling, hit that like button and subscribe for more creepy stories. Stay safe, and maybe check your windows before bed.